Why are founders, and maybe everybody, terrible at saying no or not willing to say no? What is missing with founders and their unwillingness to say no?
It's interesting. Founders, at least the founders who resonate with our work and the ones that we talk to, pretty much all of them without fail have this very innate, genuine desire to help, to make a difference. For a lot of people, it's part of the reason why they founded a company. They saw a problem they wanted to solve. And it's part of what makes them successful as a founder and an entrepreneur. But that genuine desire to help can also lead to overcommitment. A request comes in, you see something that needs to be done, and your natural reaction is, oh, let me take that on because I want to help, because I want to provide value. So I think that's part of it. The other part of it is we've all been rejected before. We've all been on the receiving end of a no, and it doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end of a no. So I think a lot of founders, or take founders out, humans in general, we don't like delivering negative experiences to others. So when someone reaches out and asks for help, even if there's a voice in our head, which there often is, saying, this is not the best use of my time, we don't want to deliver a negative experience. We don't have clarity on what else we could be using that time for necessarily. And so we say yes over and over and over again, and we overcommit to these things because it's in our nature, and we've been trained to see no as a negative thing, when in actuality, it can be a positive thing if framed correctly.
How do founders get good at framing it correctly? How do they get better at this, right? So fine, they should read the book, but what if they don't read the book, or they don't want to read the book, they don't have time to read the book? How do folks get good at doing this? What is the secret there?
I think the most foundational thing, as basic as this sounds, there's a lot of founders who don't have clarity around this. It's as a founder, what are your top priorities? Not what are your team's top priorities, not what are the company's top priorities. As a founder, the office of the CEO, what are the 2 to 3 things that you need to accomplish over the next 3 to 6 to maybe 12 months that will have the biggest impact on the company's growth? It's one of the questions I ask anyone when I start working with them. And I'd say it's maybe 40% of the time someone can just rattle something off the top of their head. The vast majority of the time, I either get a blank stare and a realization of, oh, I haven't thought about that since our last planning meeting, last quarter. Or they ramble off some really ambiguous, well, I'm going to try and do X, Y, and Z, and they'll ramble an answer. Most people don't have clarity in what their priorities are, and as a result, if you don't know what your priorities are, it's hard to say yes to the things that matter and no to the things that don't, because you don't know what it is you should be focusing your time and energy on. Does that make sense?
It does, but then what is the predicate to that? Is it setting up OKRs for every startup and company and for yourself? Like, what are the things then founders should do to get good at saying no and pushing back?
OKRs are definitely a part of it. I'd say for a lot of people, it can start simpler. Literally a homework assignment I'll give most people when I'm working with them is just sit down, spend 20 minutes, write out everything that you think you should be focusing on. For most people, it comes down to usually, 12 to 13 things. And then I'll say, okay, pick the 3 that are the biggest impact. What are the 3 that you need to get done this quarter for the company to hit their goals?
Okay. And are those still just like the high level things? Like, in other words, it's like, I'll think about my own life every day. It's like, okay, well, I have some doing this podcast I think is really important, and I enjoy doing it. I learn a lot, but then also there's, I'm participating in a lot of sales still for the company. That's really important. There's some key product things that I participate in that I think are still important for me. But guess what? I also have like a million emails that come in, and yes, I try to delegate a lot of that work. I also have customers who need to be like, they have challenges or they have customer success things. And like, I have a teammate who deals with a lot of that too, but they want to get it approved. And so I need to read it over. I need to be sometimes a customer wants the CEO to opine on their situation because that's what you need to do. Like, then all these little things just build up. And next thing you know, it's 10 p.m. at night and I finally can start thinking about product.
Yes. Oh, there's so many different ways we could take that. But the first one I'm going to say, I think an underlying theme there is, I think what you're saying is you can set these priorities. Okay, here's the 3 things I need to be focusing on. But on a day-to-day basis, a million other things come up, a million other fires crop up that you'll feel urgent, feel like they need your attention. And again, I think so much of that is ingrained in early startup, the idea of the CEO as the firefighter who rushes in and saves the day. There's a bit of sometimes a hero complex that comes into being the one who steps in and saves the deal. And I think as a company scales, one of the most valuable but most difficult lessons to learn is some fires you let burn, because it's not going to burn the company down. Or you empower someone else to be that firefighter. You mentioned your team member who reaches out and wants your approval on things. That's great for a time, But if you can train him to stop needing your approval, to have him, when you review something that he's done, have him sit down with you and show him what you're looking for and of what means approved and what means not approved. So he can get to the point where he doesn't feel the need to run things by you. Or if a customer reaches out, wants the CEO's attention, there's a place for that, but there's also ways to get leverage on that. If they want the CEO's attention, you don't have to be the one that writes the email. Let's go back to doing a dictation that someone else writes up on your behalf. You still delivered the experience, you just didn't have to be the one to create it and invest the time.